3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Has-Beens, presented by 10K Takes, brought to you always by the Chill Boys. And you can go on www.chillboys.com, and listeners, you can type in HB15 to get 15% off your first order from the Chill Boys. Get your underwear, socks made out of bamboo. Tonight, we've got our producer, Jack Mason. We've got Trevor Olson, myself, Gage Ausmus, and we've got a very special guest and another special guest on. This will be a special episode for you guys. But the special guest is Riese Gaber. Thanks for joining us today. And now, typically, folks, we would do our weekend recap, but we are going to skip that because it is in the Riese Gaber episode because we all had the same weekend. So now let's go on to the fun stuff brought to you by Butter Golf. Let's get into our predictions here. Tough past weekend for all of us. It was a tough one to predict. You know, I'd like to say I was closest to the Minnesota Duluth, Wisconsin series.
You were the closest. That is insane.
I called a split. I did not see a sweep. That is nuts. God damn it. I'm not going to lie to you guys, and I said this on Twitter. I fucking hate the Dogs. Personally, I don't actually... I love the UMD Bulldogs as a school. I love them. We need them. Personally, I hate them just because of our rivalry. But I was rattled when they got swept. I was pissed off. I was like, the Dogs don't get swept by Duluth or Wisconsin.
Yeah, my jaw dropped.
I was dumbfounded. That was nuts. I was not happy. I thought I would be, but I'm not.
By technicality, Lakehead would have swept Duluth too.
Yeah,
probably by a bigger margin.
They might have.
Duluth lost their cool. They got a couple of guys suspended.
Yeah, it's a tough start to the season. It'll be interesting to see how they finish out. But let's get on to our predictions for this week, and I want to start us out with Minnesota at Ohio State. And to remind you guys, Ohio State is on a heater. They're on a heater. They're doing well. I'm going to start us off. I'm going to go split. I think Minnesota, right. North Dakota fans won't love hearing this, especially since we have Riese Gaber on. But at this point in the season, I do think Minnesota is the number one overall seed, and there's no question to be asked. I mean, they are unbelievable.
I would agree, 100%.
So, yeah, I mean, I hate admitting it, but this team they have it's nuts. But I'm going to say split. They're playing at Ohio State. It's a conference game. Ohio State's really good this year. I think Ohio State will somehow squeak one out against them.
Okay, so I like that. I like that. Mace, what do you got?
As much as Ohio State has been on a roll, after seeing that Minnesota UND series, I mean, that was playoff speed. Like, that wasn't... I don't even know if any other team can compete with that.
That was Frozen Four national championship style game.
Both those games were unfucking real.
Yeah, I tweeted out after. I hope that they play in a big game in the future. I think that that would be the best thing for college hockey with those fans wherever they play. It's a high level game. It was interesting because there were some penalties on both sides that kind of changed the complexion of each game. But I'd love to see them in a all or nothing game in the future.
And I mean, now against Ohio State, I mean, I think they're just going out blazing. I think it's going to be 2-0, go for sweep.
All right. I like that, Mace. Power move. I I'm going to have to go with that as well. I think the Gophers have a bad taste in their mouth on Saturday from their Saturday loss, giving up 2 goals. I think Motzko is in their ear about some of the stuff that went on. I think they come out guns blazing as well. I think Minnesota sweeps in Ohio State.
Now, what do we think happens to Pitlick? Throwing the stick in the stands. Unbelievable family. I mean, you got to know Bob Motzko. He's an old school coach. He's not standing for that. I mean, something's got to be done.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Somebody said, I get it if it's like a game winner or whatever it might have been, but it was 2-0 in the first period, wasn't it? 2-0 in the first or 2-0 early second?
Second, I think. Yeah.
And he flips it into the crowd. I mean, it's an absolute power move, and if they had won, it would have been unreal for the Gophers fan. Like, if they went on to win 6-0, it was like, oh, we knew it right then. The game was over. But the fact that the tables turned and the momentum switched, it's just it's a head scratcher.
It was one of the most high risk, high reward celebrations I've ever seen. I mean, the reward was a mile away. It was at Mars, and the risk was at the sun. It was astronomical, and if they would have won that game, I mean, that he might go down as the coolest Gopher to ever play. And now that it went the other way, it's a little different, so you can make your speculations. But at the time, I won't lie, some North Dakota fans will disagree, but I thought it was fucking sick. He threw the stick in the sands, and I'm like, holy fuck, that is sick.
I'm not going to lie.
Mace, you were sitting right next to it. What were you thinking?
Yeah, and I was live tweeting through the whole game. So I tweeted like, yo, what the fuck is that? Like, yo, what is this dude doing? Because, I mean, I was into the game. Like, it was 2-0. We weren't playing the best game I've ever seen. But, I mean, then we turned it the fuck around. We get 1 goal. I mean, I'm live tweeting the game. I couldn't even finish my tweet before we got the next one. Like, yeah, it was a completely different team after that. Like, as much as a rock star moves that, like Veach said, wrong place and wrong time.
It was. Now knowing what we know, wrong place, wrong time. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to the second series. Western Michigan versus Michigan. Home and home.
Mace, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. I'll take a split series. I haven't really heard too much about either. I mean, I think Western Michigan split against Alaska this weekend, but I could be completely wrong. So I'm taking split.
All right. Gage, you want it?
Yeah, this is gonna go against everything, I believe in, but I think Michigan sweeps them. They're playing the first night in Lawson. They've got, Michigan's got Fantilli or whatever. He's supposed to go 3rd or 5th overall. He scored in every game they've played. I think Michigan is still a powerhouse. That's not being talked about. I don't really know what Western Michigan has to bring this year, so I'm gonna go Michigan sweep.
I like that. I'm gonna second that. I think Michigan sweeps. I think they grab the one on Friday in Lawson, then they come home and win like 5-1. Western just hasn't showed me anything. And Gage and I will say it later in the podcast with the Riese Gaber interview. We're huge Western fans. We love what they do over there, but I think that it's kind of a struggle bus right now. So I think Michigan grabs 2.
For sure. Well, let's move on to the next one. Cornell at Minnesota Duluth.
And this is me up first here?
That's you.
Ish. I'm going to go with, I think, a cop-out here. I'm going to go with a split. I think Duluth grabs at least 1. If I was ballsy, I would have chose them to bounce back and have a sweep over Cornell. But I'm going to go 1-1. They got that kid suspended. after his little cross check at the end of the game there. But I think Duluth has to grab one at home against Cornell. So I'm going split.
I like that. I am actually going to go Duluth sweep. Duluth sweeps Cornell out of there. They're going to get back into the race. They're going to get back into the season a little bit. I just don't believe Duluth will, they've had a tough start to the season. I don't believe they're going to lay down and call it. They've got to show something here. They know what's on the line in this weekend. They're going to sweep.
I think I'm going to go with Trevor. I think they're going to split. I think Kaiser's out for the first game. I'm going to go split.
I like that. I think if we're right, Mace, and I think if Western gets swept, I think the NCHC is in a lot of trouble pairwise.
Yeah.
I think they're in a ton of trouble with the way that the NCHC has started non-conference. I think that they are in trouble. So I feel like this is a huge weekend for the NCHC.
Well, on to the next one, obviously, Nodak versus ASU in Vegas. I will start us off here. And we're going to predict the score as well. I'm going to say 4-1 North Dakota. There's no way, after that weekend they just had, all-time high. Obviously, didn't win both games. Could have lost both games as well, but they've showed what type of team they are, what type of perseverance they have. I think they're going to come out swinging against ASU. They lost last year against Penn State in Nashville. They're not going to let it happen again in front of those Sioux fans. 4-1 victory. Pretty dominant, too.
Mace, go ahead.
Coming off a game like that, a series like that, both teams looked unreal. Both looked dominant. I'm taking 5-1 Nodak. I think they're putting it up against them. ASU's going back. Sorry. I don't think it's going to be good.
I was going to say, North Dakota's going to win that game. It's dependent on how many goals ASU puts up. So I'm going to say 4-2. I think they grab 2 power play goals or something, but I think overall, like Gage said, it's a demanding, looks like a demanding win. They don't give up a whole lot except for a couple power play goals. 4-2 North Dakota.
Well, let's all hope that's the case, I guess. But ASU's coming off a couple good wins, and
against NCHC again. Yeah. It's been a crazy start. A little sweep against CC.
Yeah, and they're gonna, they're gonna be pumped. Anyone playing in front of those fans in Vegas can imagine that hype that's going into that game. Now let's move on to the nail gun of the week, and I've got a few on my mind. Does anyone else want to start us off? Do you want us to go? Because I'm not going to lie, I have 4 of them. So,
I think we can get all. I think all of us can get one out of the way right now and say the guy who threw the stick back.
100%.
Completely nail gun move.
Guy just catches a college hockey stick and he goes, "Nope. Why don't you take that back?"
He goes full baseball mode and throws the ball back. He throws the stick back. That was the sickest. I was so rattled after that goal, and he threw the stick over the stands, and I'm like looking away. I'm like, oh God, this is fucked. And then I see the stick go back on the ice, and I'm like, let's fucking go. We got some life.
Oh, that's unreal. I wasn't at the game. Was it like seen right away? Did the crowd erupt bad? Like, I didn't see how everything played out.
No, it kind of played out for a while. They scored the goal. He chucked the stick in the stands, and then everyone's like, holy fuck, like he threw the stick in the stands. Like, this is nuts. And then all of a sudden, you just see, like, I was sitting on the same side. Mace was sitting closer to him, I guess, but I was sitting right above him, and all of a sudden I see the stick being thrown back on the ice, and I'm like, let's fucking go. Are you kidding me? They tossed it back. Like, That's unbelievable. I mean, the chances that stick ended in a Gopher fan's hands, it's got to be like 70 to 30%. I thought like that would be sold on eBay the next day for $500. And this thing just gets chucked back on the ice, and I'm like, that is fucking sick.
I mean, it read through it, and it went right up the alley, like right up the stairs, and it was right next to this Nodak guy. He grabs it, and he holds onto it for 1 second, and he thinks about it. All of a sudden, he stands up, baseball throws it right over that shit, and just fucking waves his hands.
Yeah, and
no big deal.
I saw the video too. I mean, what a nail gun.
Oh,
I saw the video too, and there's a bunch of Minnesota fans like, no, give it to me, give it to me. They're like trying to stop him from throwing it, and he's like looking back at him like, fuck you. Tosses it back on the ice.
I was so hyped up. Oh my god.
So sick. So yeah, I mean, obviously that's one of our nail guns of the week. I'll start us off here with I've got this happened at a Kentucky basketball game. A father of a son there. His son went to the game with the mom. He was working late in the mines, mining.
Saw it.
So his face is all black. He's in his work suit, and he shows up to the game. They get a picture of him sitting at the game, and his face is black, and he just had to get to the game with his son straight after work, no shower. What a goddamn nail gun. I mean, that guy is all time. He just wants to get to the basketball game with his son. Doesn't care what his face looks like. Doesn't care what he's wearing. There's nothing more nail gun than that. And then I did want to shout out the Chicago Protectors. So everyone knows Chicago's got some bad crime. Well, there's a group of African American men that wear these Letterman jackets that are red sleeved, black down the middle, and they're going around trying to protect Chicago from crime. I just think that's so nails. These guys are volunteers. It's one thing if you're a cop, you're getting paid to do it. These guys are just doing it out of the goodwill of their heart. Unbelievable shit. I can't imagine being that, being one of those guys doing that, spending your time that you get on this earth that we all know isn't much. They're spending it protecting people in Chicago, trying to stop crime. You got to give it up to those guys. Absolute nail guns. And my third one, I did have 4, but my fourth one was obviously the guy who threw it back. My third one is going to be Mark Senden. Fucking born in Wayzata, Minnesota, wins a state championship. He's a Twin Cities boy. Almost could say he's a cake eater playing for Wayzata. Chooses to go to the University of North Dakota. Lifts a Penrose. As the captain of the team, comes back to Minnesota. Loses a game that they were up with a minute 30 left. They go down 2-0 on Saturday, come back, go to OT, scores the game winner. Nothing more nails than that. I mean, that is just all fucking time. You can't beat it.
Unreal story. Unreal story. I mean, imagine you did that. Imagine that was your story. That's incredible. Guy just comes back and just wins it against his hometown team.
I can't imagine.
You can't even write it better than that.
No.
No, you can't.
So those are all my nail guns of the week. I wanted to shout them out there, but there's a lot of them. But
Mace, do you have a nail gun?
Yeah, I got one. I mean, it should be fairly obvious. I mean, I got to shout out Shane Pinto. 5 goals, 5 games.
That was mine.
Same nail guns.
I love it. I love it, Mace. I love it. Go ahead.
I mean,
finish it
are
off.
you kidding me? I mean, I got him on my fantasy hockey team. He's lighting it up. He's getting me points. I love it. I love seeing him up there. There's nothing.
I love that. I'll add on to that. 5 game goal streak to start the year. I think the record's 8 or something, so we're rooting for them. But Mace, that's hilarious. I love that pick. I'll throw a random out there. Philly Kessel. Philly Kessel.
What a call.
Oh yeah.
It just popped into my head. Phil Kessel, Iron Man streak, and he tucks. And he tucks in the game. What how many games is it?
He tucks number 400 goals too.
Game 100.
Yeah. 400 goals and what was it?
990th game.
Good Lord. 990 straight NHL games. Ish.
At least I think that's what it was.
I think it is too. The thrill.
Yeah.
Philly cheese. The guy is just, he's defied logic. He's defied everything. He's the GOAT.
That's what I'm saying. They should do documentaries on guys like that. The guy eats fucking hot dogs for dinner. And we've got guys fucking drinking smoothies full of kale and all the fucking chicken breasts. And we got Philly Kessel playing the most games in a row in the National League ever. And the guy's fucking pounding fucking health missiles.
Dude, do you guys remember Philly Kessel's interview where what's the annoying guy's name? I forget who's the guy in between the Pierre McGuire. Pierre McGuire interviews him, and it's after whatever, he's breathing hard, and he asks, it's after the first period, and Pierre McGuire goes, "Hey Phil, how's your breath?" And he's like, "Oh, it's bad, isn't it?" He thought he was talking about like his actual breath. He just doesn't give a shit, man.
Oh, what a call. That's Philly Kessel's an all-time legend. He's a national treasure.
Yeah.
He really is.
I had to. I can't believe Mace and I had the exact same one, but I'm glad I dug deep for the Philly Kessel one.
That's all time. Well, that'll bring us to an end to the fun stuff. Now on to what you guys want to hear. Current North Dakota hockey player Riese Gaber on next. Now, I think you guys will enjoy this one. Now on to Riese Gaber. And now I'd like to welcome on a very special guest, one of our favorites we've ever had, Riese Gaber, current player of the North Dakota hockey team. Gabes, thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, boys. Looking forward to this.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing after this last weekend. This should be a good one.
Yeah, you bet.
Yeah. Just get them on right after one of the most epic college hockey weekends I've ever seen in my life. I can't wait to hear what he has to say about it. Yeah, I mean, we're going to start it off a little different. Gaber's from Gilbert Plains, Manitoba. Once again, just a great Northern Toba boy. We love the Toba boys on this podcast here, and haven't really met a bad Toba guy in my life. So, Gaber, I haven't really gotten the chance to hang out with you too much. I've gotten to know you a little bit. I remember your freshman year watching the first weekend, and I just see your name, Riese Gaber, and I'm like, fuck, that's a sick name. I remember tweeting out, I'm like, Riese Gaber, what a fucking sick name. I'm going to be a fan of this guy. And turned out to be right, man. You've been a stud for North Dakota ever since.
I actually remember that tweet. That's funny you mentioned that. I completely forgot about that.
Gage tweets so much, I'm surprised you remember a singular one.
Yeah, it is what it is. You got to give the people what they want. So, no, let's recap our weekends here, and obviously brought to you by Beauty Status. And folks, Beauty Status is an authentic Minnesota hockey brand. Just, original stuff, t-shirts, head covers, stickers for the man cave, flags, polos. They've got it all. Good Minnesota hockey stuff for all the fans out there. Go and check out Beauty Status on all socials. Their website is www.beautystatishky.com. Well, who wants to start? Let's hear, what did we get up to this weekend? Riese, what'd you get up to this weekend? I'd like to know.
We had a heck of a weekend in Minneapolis and Mariucci. A lot of tough ones slip on Friday night, but we were able to get one back and get a big overtime win against the Ghosts on Saturday, which was it's huge, and obviously kind of win that series, I guess, in pairwise points. So yeah, that was definitely huge for us, and got home real late. I think it was like 4 a.m. on Sunday, and head to bed, and yeah, just kind of took her easy. So
Yeah, not much else you can do after that. I mean, get home at 4 a.m., but fuck, that's got to be a nice bus ride home. A little different, from my bus ride home from the Mariucci. We tie Friday night and then lose Saturday, and it's a fucking long one. You stay off the socials, you stay off the Sioux forum. You don't want to be reading any of that, But
yeah, 100%.
fuck that. You had to been. I can imagine, you had to been. The boys had to get on the bus and been like, Bubs, Jacks, let's make a pit stop over at Sally's just for a couple minutes, eh?
Yeah, we stopped at a gasser on the way home, and we were making a few jokes about it. It was just Jax on the bus with us, and we were making some jokes. But yeah,
Jax is like one of the boys. I love it. He just gets it.
He's all time. Yeah, he gets it. Is right.
Yeah. Well, Ols,
yeah.
What did you get up to this weekend?
Yeah, there was like Gaber said, there was this huge weekend in Minneapolis. We obviously live here now, so I made the trek over to Sally's Saloon at about 2:30 p.m. on Friday, right when my shift got up from work. I would say I got there a little early. I was Steven Glansberg at Sally's for a little bit, sitting by myself.
Got a little horny.
I always get a little horny. Friday comes along, Sioux are in town to play the Gulfs. I head to Sally's for a quick high noon or 12. So we ended up sitting Colton Sanderson, guy I haven't seen in a little bit, Bryn Chizik, Nick Matson, another guy, another Sioux alum, and then Gager and a few more. We enjoyed some bevies at Sally's. Unfortunately, finances are tight, so I didn't make it to the game, but I watched from the bar, and it was a heck of a game Friday night. And then Saturday, I shelved it. I sat on the couch, kicked my feet up, watched all on my lonesome. Fantastic win, huge comeback. I was live tweeting throughout the whole game. Pretty fun time. So pretty laid back, and then obviously Sunday football. So great overall weekend.
Always. Mace, what did you get up to this weekend? You get to the games?
Yeah, so I had tickets for both games, Friday and Saturday. And on Friday, went over Sally's before, met up with Gage and Trevor as well. Got a few brews back before the game. It was a damn good game. Tough turnout, but then on Saturday, tailgated a little bit before the game, trying to bring tailgating back to hockey.
Oh, yeah.
And then saw a damn good game that night, and then did nothing on Sunday. Just laid on the couch all day.
Yeah. I mean, we all had similar weekends. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Obviously, that Friday, knew the boys were coming into town. Fuck, I had to work all day, but it was impossible to keep my focus on work. Like, I'm just fucking amped. Like, all I'm thinking about is the Sioux game. Oh my God. I got Crispin Green, got the green smoothie just for the boys. Fucking brutal. Tasted like fucking leaves and shit, but got her through, drank it down, fucking tried to be healthy before I, deleted about 50 drinks on the weekend. But no, got to the game Friday, or obviously went to Sally's before and then got to the game. Unbelievable atmosphere in Mariucci, just incredible, support from both sides. I don't know what the Gophers fans look like this year when they play normal teams, but, the rink's almost 50-50 and you've got Let's Go Sioux chants. You've got the anthem. After the anthem ends, everyone's saying Sioux and half the crowd saying Gophers. They don't really say that normally, but when the Sioux come to town, they fucking try to beat us at it, and it's dust. But no, and then Saturday went back to the game, obviously had to. Riese, I'm not going to lie, man. I was scared coming into Saturday because, you guys give up that lead Friday night and end up losing the game in overtime. So it's like, fuck, am I going to, I might eat some here later tonight if we lose this one, don't know how it's going to turn out. And then, early on in the game, obviously everyone knows we're kind of getting pounded. It's fucking, no one realizes how tough it is to play the Gophers at the Mariucci in that atmosphere when the Sioux come to town, because their fans, obviously hate us so much, and they really show out. And it, the atmosphere in the game, they go up 2-0. Fucking Pitlick throws his stick in the stands, and I'm like, oh God, we're gonna lose 10-0. That is fucked.
That was literally right next to me in the stands.
Holy fuck! I was like, what the fuck was that? And then obviously after, everyone knows the fucking story, but. Fuck yeah!
I gotta ask, what's the thought process when that happens? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, I was on the bench at the time, and I'm like, holy shit, like I don't know. My first reaction was, because right after he did it, he kind of skated away from his teammates. Then he stopped, turned around like they weren't coming, so he kept going, and then he stopped again by the bench and then did the flyby. I'm like, okay, that just looks stupid. And then guys on the bench were just screaming, they're like we don't let that shit happen, none of that, fuck that, and kind of caught a fire on the bench, I think, and that really pissed some guys off, and obviously kind of was the turning point of the game. So yeah, that was kind of the reaction from our end of it.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be. You can't, you see that happen against you. You can take it. I really commend you guys and your team this year. And obviously, you don't know the identity of a team right away in the season, and you kind of build it throughout the year. But what you guys showed there, I mean, you guys were getting pounded up until it was 2-0, and then that happened. And, some teams are going to fucking quit right after that, and they will get blown out. I mean, you come back and score 4 unanswered goals. You score 3 within, I don't even know how many, it was like a minute and a half or something. It was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I lost my voice after the third goal. I almost passed out. I was screaming so loud. I got a little dizzy, almost went black. I'm like, holy fuck, I got to stop screaming. I got to settle down here. But, no, I mean, that was unbelievable by you guys. You handled it the right way, and not every team can do that. Especially in that environment, playing on that ice. It's a different game, I think, a little bit from NHL, and they're so used to playing on it. So they have the advantage playing there, I believe. But you guys handled it so well. It was unbelievable to see. I did not see that happening when you guys went down 2-0. So I really got to give you guys credit for coming back in that game. It's just unbelievable. That series will go down as one of the best Sioux Gopher series of all time for sure. Both games going to overtime. So, what is that? Are you guys aware of that on the bench? Holy fuck. After the game's over Saturday, are you guys thinking about Jesus, that was one of the biggest series between these schools of all time? Or is that not, you guys are just pumped about the win?
Yeah, I think right away after, we were kind of just pretty pumped, and obviously, like you said, is just the culture here. Obviously, you guys know, just having that pride to keep battling whatever the score is. And yeah, I think kind of as we got on the bus and started getting home, we kind of started talking about big moments that have happened in this past series. And we kind of just started talking and bringing up different moments that have happened. And then we were kind of saying yeah, this is probably going to go up there as one of the top series between these rivals. Because, I mean, obviously, like you said, back-to-back OT games, and just the momentum changes in both games. So, yeah, I think we kind of started to realize that once we got on the bus and we're on our way home.
Yeah, and they go up 2-0, and I remember as a player, you can feel momentum shifts. They're a real thing. You can feel them inside your body. They go up 2-0. As a fan now, I can even fucking feel it in my body. It's you're defeated, and then that happens, and then you get a little life, you score a goal, and then the momentum just absolutely shifts so fucking hard. Is that something you guys were aware of at the time? Holy fuck, we got this thing going. I mean, it was right after that you guys just started pounding them. I mean, you hadn't really gotten any shots right away after that, but or before that, but right after that, I mean, it was a whole different game. It wasn't even the same game that we were watching, before those first 2 goals. So I mean, where does that come from? You know, does that come from the coaches? Does that come from the leaders in the locker room? Your guys' chemistry, how you guys handle each other, the team, you know, the team chemistry, where does it come from?
I think a little bit of everything. I think that one of the big things there was obviously we went on the power play, and I think it was right then when Cooley got the 5 minute and they reviewed it, and I think obviously a little bit of leadership too. The boys were like come on, like this is it now. Like let's go. This is our opportunity. Let's get these guys back. And yeah, I think kind of just the energy on the bench went right up, and I think the trust and the confidence we have in our power play was obviously something that really helped us. And once we got one, we were like, we're coming back. Like, let's do this thing. And I think we have strong belief in our locker room, and I think that kind of showed. And obviously, then you got guys like Sendo and Dale and Jammer going out there and just banging bodies, and then they pot one, and we're like, holy shit! Like, now, like it's go time. It's unreal.
Have you guys thought about playing Quinnipiac in Minnesota very early in the season? Obviously, like top tier teams. Obviously, the Quinnipiac series didn't go the way you guys wanted to. You know, you grabbed one from the Gulfs. How do you guys move forward? You know, especially you're not going to see some of those top tier teams every weekend. So how do you guys build momentum and keep that going throughout the season with the thought of playing these teams again?
Yeah, I think we know, like, obviously those two teams are going to be top teams in the country all year, and we know we can play with them. And I think kind of the theme around the rink has been like, where we're at right now isn't even close to what we're going to be at the end of the year. So we got a lot to improve on, and we're just going to get better and better, and even scarier as the year goes on, which is, I think, really exciting for us. And obviously, once we get into that NCHC gauntlet, I think obviously we know we have so many returners, we know what that's like. And just kind of going through that, I think we're really excited to kind of prove ourselves and just keep the momentum, obviously knowing that we can play with anyone in the country.
Yeah, and also I like that you brought up the Quinnipiac series, and that Quinnipiac series was tough to swallow. Obviously, you guys have the lead, I think Friday, and end up tying and losing there at home. That's, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw that, I was a little like happy, because I'm like, you know what, this is gonna push the guys to bring it even more against Minnesota. Like, their backs are against the wall a little bit. They're not gonna want to lose, a couple series in a row. This is going to push us to be a little better. So I was happy to see that. And like Ol said, it's nice to play those teams early on so you know what you're up against. And I believe you for sure. Like, you guys aren't the team you're going to be in January and February. And that's kind of been the tradition of the UND hockey program. We always kind of start a little slow, and then you end the second half strong. And I think it's because, a lot of the guys have to learn the culture, learn the ways, and a lot of your guys good players, and I think some of your guys best players potentially at the end of the season are some of the freshmen, which, they probably aren't up to speed quite yet, but come the end of the year, they'll be right there. And just a weekend like this has to give you guys so much confidence. You can go down 2-0 in a hostile arena and come back and win a game after kind of dropping a game where you're led with 1:30 left. That just, as a team, to me, that just shows the identity and how special you guys are right now, and how special the season could be in the end.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think, I said it very well. Like, even, going into a hostile environment and being down, like the weekend four, obviously against QPAC, we were down 3-0 and 4-1, and clawed back. And I think we have these flashes where we know how special we can be. And like you said, like some of our freshmen, they're elite. They're very elite. So I'm excited to see. Obviously, it's their first taste of college hockey, and once they get in a groove and kind of obviously learn the culture better and get going, I'm really excited to watch them throughout the course of the year.
So how do you guys handle the, you go into you play Quinnipiac, huge series. You go to Minnesota, probably one of the biggest series you'll play in college, and then you're off to Vegas to play another huge game in front of a bunch of crazy UND fans in a Hall of Fame game there. How it's just a hell of a sequence of weekends here for the boys. you guys are going down to Minnesota, you're driving back, and now you're flying out to Vegas to stay in the MGM and play the Arizona State, whatever, Sun Devils. And I mean, they're coming off a pretty good, I mean, they just swept the team and they're coming in pretty hot. You know, does the game plan change at all there? Or are you guys just worrying about yourself and just wanting to play your game?
I think the big thing is just worrying about ourselves. I think the one good thing about these games is it's easy to get up for. Momentum, or not so much momentum, but just getting up for the game shouldn't be a thing at all. It's pretty auto, and I think, like you said, like ASU, they got a good team this year, but we know what we just faced back-to-back weekends here, and we'll be ready. We're excited, and obviously having that crowd there this weekend that we're gonna witness is. It's pretty eye-opening. I'm damn excited to get there.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up before we hop into more of your career in general, back when Gage and I used to play, we were always looking at the pairwise rankings, right? That's like the tell-all, and you spoke upon, just worrying about yourselves. I think that's more evident this year, especially because the NCHC kind of has taken a step back to start the year. Duluth got swept at home against Wisco. Omaha got swept by Niagara. So, I mean, does that come into play at all? Do you guys think about that at all? Or is it strictly, it's on our shoulders. It doesn't matter what happens to them. We just got to take it by the reins and go.
Yeah, I don't think we're worried too much about it. I think, I think we were looking after the game on Saturday, and we were like 25th in pairwise or something. And we're like, it's not, Bubs always says, it's not where we're at right now, it's where we end up. And I think, like you guys know, the brand of the NCHC, it doesn't matter if you're a 2 seed going into the tournament or a 4 seed, you're going to have a hell of a time playing that NCHC team. So pairwise doesn't, obviously, you got to get in that top 16, but I don't think it really matters too much because, like whoever's facing the NCHC team, good luck, because it's going to be a hell of a test. So, that's not too much on our mind, just worrying about ourselves.
Yeah, that's the right way to look at it. And I do want to circle back a little bit to the Minnesota series, because I got asked this question. I did a little pregame thing for a college hockey brand there. They asked me a question, what's Brad Berry saying in the locker room on Saturday after you guys lose Friday? A little bit kind of I don't know, you guys might be a little rattled about losing that one. What does Brad Berry say on Saturday? And my guess was, it's like, I don't know, man. There's not much to say to the guys when they're playing Minnesota. It doesn't matter Friday, Saturday. It's like all these guys in this locker room know what's on the line, and they know how many fans are watching, and it means just as much to them as anyone. So my answer was, I don't think Brad has to say anything. These guys, this is a weekend. That was a weekend, like captains, coaches. There doesn't have to be much motivational talk to try to hype guys up. It's already there. Like not much has to be said. Is that true?
Yeah, that's pretty spot on. Obviously, we were disappointed after Friday, and we know we're better than that. But I think you just got to play for the pride. And coming in Saturday, I think you walk in that locker room and you kind of have a feeling that the business suits are going to be hanging up, and you walk in and those things are hanging up in your stall, and you're like, let's fucking go. Like, it's
go time.
It's like nothing needs to be said. You're just like, dialed automatically. It's pretty sweet. So yeah.
There's no feeling like that walking in the locker room and you see the black business suits hanging up. You're just like, let's fucking go, baby.
Yeah, auto goosebumps. It's
goosebumps. And then, like, in the back of my head, I was like, fuck, this is gonna be a sick fucking Instagram later. Like, this is gonna be nasty. Fucking so many fucking smokes are gonna like this. It's gonna be nasty. But no, yeah. I mean, obviously going into Vegas. So, Gaber, now we'll kind of get into your career here a little bit and how you came up. Obviously, I stated you're from Manitoba, Gilbert Plains. I see you went and played in Dauphin in the MJHL when you were 16 years old, your first year. So our main question of the Canadian guys is, when you're growing up playing hockey, obviously hockey's a huge part of the thing. And we always ask guys in America, when did you know you wanted to play hockey? I think it's a little different for Canadians because hockey's kind of a religion there. Everyone does it. Why did you go to juniors? Were you thinking about the WHL at all? What was your route? What was your thought process there when playing for Dauphin your first time?
So in the I think it's kind of funny, like I always tell a story, my draft year. So there's the MJHL draft and the WHL draft. So I got passed up in the WHL draft, and then the MJHL draft, there's only 6 rounds. I think it went like 5th round. And I was 4'11", 95 pounds at the time. And the head coach of Dauphin at the time, he said when they called my name, like people in the room started laughing because they're like, this kid's like, he's a midget, And, so yeah, well, anyway, I got drafted, and I always grew up cheering for them. And obviously growing up as a kid in Western Canada, the dub is always kind of, you want to get drafted dub, playing the dub. That's, the sick thing to do. Right. And, I was more of a late bloomer, and I started getting some interest from schools, and a few people started putting in my ear, like, it's a longer runway, more time for development to kind of start looking at college. And, after my first year, I started talking to some more schools, and just kind of became a thing where I had an option to go to Brandon in the dub, and I figured I needed a longer runway. So, I started looking at USHL, and then obviously played 2 years in the MJ, and got some looks from USHL teams, and went down there. And obviously it turned out to be a really good decision for me, just being a late bloomer.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what was that like? Because you obviously go down to Dubuque and play for the Fighting Saints there. What's that like traveling down to Dubuque, which, in America, I mean, you are from Toba, so Dubuque's a pretty small town, but you're far away from home. You're living with billets. You're probably not familiar. What was that transition like, moving away from home and playing in America?
Yeah, definitely it was a little bit tough, at home. My first year and a half in the MJ, I played at home. And then for my second half of my second year, I was only like 3.5 hours away. So when I went to Dubuque, I think I was 16 hours. So that was kind of my first time really being away from home, where my parents really wouldn't come down often at all. So yeah, definitely some tough times, but I was pretty lucky with, I had exceptional billets there who I'm still really close with. Like they're coming to Vegas this week. So, but yeah, no, I got really lucky with that. And Dubuque's a great organization. I got pretty lucky going there. I didn't know anything about the USHL, really anything at all about Dubuque. So yeah, I kind of lucked out with that spot, and was pretty fortunate.
What are the main kind of differences between the MJ and the USHL? Obviously, every junior league's different. Some are more offensive, some defensive. Just kind of bring us through, what you saw in the MJ, what you saw in the USHL, biggest difference, some of that stuff.
Yeah, looking back, it's pretty crazy to think like what life was like in the MJ for a while. Obviously, it's a lot better now where they're getting a ton of NCAA commitments, as opposed to when I was in the league. There may be like a handful throughout the whole league. So yeah, just a lot of the guys, like when you hit 20 in the MJ, it's kind of, you're moving on, going to school or whatever. And now, like I said, obviously they're doing a great job with moving kids on. And I think obviously in the U show, it's a thing where everyone's trying to get to that next level. And just, the demeanor of kids and the work ethic was a lot different. And like I said, again, like obviously the MJ is doing a great job now, but yeah, it was definitely a lot different in that time. And I think, like, looking back, it was a great stepping stone for me, both leagues. And I think it's really important to kind of be successful where you're at before you move on. And I think I did a good job of that, and was led the right way. So I'm happy the way everything worked out.
Yeah. So we always ask this too, is, you obviously are at North Dakota now. When did that come about? When did you start getting recruited? How did North Dakota come on the radar? What when they started recruiting you, what did that feel like? Was it, were you juggling back and forth between schools, or what was that process like?
Yeah, I had kind of a unique process. Actually, my first year in the MJ, I committed to Western Michigan. I had a really good relationship with both the coaches there. Who Andy Murray used to go to his hockey schools growing up in Manitoba. He's a Toba boy. So yeah, I committed to Western Michigan, and then I wanted to be closer to home. I wasn't very happy with my decision. It was kind of a rush decision, and I ended up decommitting. And UND for pretty much any kid in Western Canada, that's a dream school. So I never thought decommitting. I never thought UND would even be an option, and actually, believe it or not, I was waiting to get out of my NLI. And I got a text from my agent one morning. I'll never forget it. And I was in my billet house in Dubuque, and it said, "You just got released from your NLI. Brad Berry will be giving you a call." And that was the first team that reached out to me. And I still remember that feeling. It was the coolest thing ever. And right from then, I was like, my mind set on it. Like I want to go to UND, and that's it. And I had a lot of different schools reach out and went on a couple of visits, but I was kind of waiting on that offer from UND, and I made sure other teams knew. Like I told them, like my goal is to go to UND, and if not, like I'll consider you guys. But that's kind of my plan. And I was fortunate enough to get an offer, and that was easiest decision of my life. So it's still can't believe I'm here. It's pretty surreal.
Yeah, thank God he didn't go to Western. I mean, I'm very happy. I mean, everyone knows
we are fans of Western on this podcast.
I love Western. I love Western. I would have respected you if he went there, but thank God he's on our squad, because everyone knows I'm a super fan now, and this guy's possibly one of our best players, and he has been all 3 years he's been here. So just fortunate we can have him. And I won't lie, when he was sharing that story, I got chills myself. Just when he got told Brad Berry's calling, it was very similar to my experience when I decommitted from Denver. The second day after I decommitted from Denver, my dad called me. He's like, "Hey, Brad's calling," and I got shivers. I was like, "Holy fuck, let's fucking go, baby!" And yeah, I mean, we all know that feeling when North Dakota comes calling and they want you. You're like, "Holy fuck, this is quite the feeling right here." But yeah, no, Riese, we're proud to have you here, and you've been a Sioux ever since you stepped in the door, and we always ask this, what's it like stepping on a campus from juniors, and obviously, growing up in Canada, going down to Dubuque, you're going to North Dakota. What's it like your first day on campus, stepping on, you've got all these visions of what you expect it to be like, and, did it live up to the hype? What was it like?
Yeah, I think obviously mine was a little different just because I came in the midst of COVID, so everything was online. Like there wasn't really anyone on campus. Everyone was at home doing stuff online. But I guess as far as just coming here and just so surreal, like just can't believe I'm here. And like even now, still walking in the rink every day, I'm like, man, this is the coolest thing ever. Like really getting this. And I try and be super mindful of it, because one day, like, obviously you guys know, like these are the greatest years of your life, and it's not even close. So yeah, I think my expectations were pretty high. But I think it's still pretty surreal for me that I get to spend every day here. So, but yeah, and then I guess aside from that, the college life it's pretty fun. Once COVID kind of went away, and obviously we still had quite a bit of fun COVID year, but no, it was definitely living up to the hype. And I don't ever want to leave this place. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's actually surprising me. I didn't really realize COVID was a thing in North Dakota. I thought just they kind of boxed it out from Minnesota and all the other places, and just kind of kept it inside, and just what's COVID?
That's a funny thing. It kind of like, obviously, I'd love to share some stories, but it was obviously we had to kind of behave, but at the same time, it was like North Dakota just had completely different than everyone else. So
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad. I do. I remember COVID happening, and the first thing I could think of is all these guys playing college hockey or college sports, and how some of those years were kind of wrecked for them with that. And especially, that team we had, I mean, I was especially pissed because the team we had that year was unbelievable. And we were number one in the nation the whole year. And it kind of gets taken away from us. But thankfully, I crowned them national champions. So we do kind of have, 9 national champions on the record, just, if that year didn't go away. I know some fans get pissed at me for saying that, but, they can be pissed. Fuck them. But yeah, I mean, you're at North Dakota, and not everyone, I was fortunate. Olson kind of went through, a year where they didn't make the tournament or whatever, and it was tough. I was fortunate to, all 4 years, my first 3 years, we went to the Frozen Four. My senior year, we lose to BU in triple overtime in the regional. We had a great team that year. So I was fortunate to play on really good teams at North Dakota, which I think you are as well. I mean, you've raised the Penrose Cup the last 2 years. What kind of weight do you guys hold on your shoulders there? Because, people know, but people don't fully realize the town of Grand Forks. If you're playing on UND and you don't have a great season, or even if you are having a great season and have an off weekend, the feeling in the town's a little different. I mean, people take that shit seriously, right? Like in Grand Forks, they're hard on you. Like the fans, they hold you to a very high standard. You need to be good every year. And I mean, how much weight do you guys put on your shoulders, and especially going back to that Gopher game on Saturday, you lose Friday. It's like, there's so many UND fans here watching Saturday. Like, we can't fucking lose this one. We're wearing black jerseys. How much weight do you guys feel on your shoulders from the town and the fans as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something we're mindful of. Like, obviously we want to win for them because, they're the best fans in the world, and we got to give back to them. But I think like you said, the standard here is just so high. The bar is set so high, and obviously the other thing is just pride. Obviously, like I said before, we want to win for pride, and I think having those fans hard on you it's obviously can be a good thing. But yeah, like I said, the standard's just so high, and they deserve a lot of Sioux wins. So it's definitely cool to see when we are winning. And I remember last year, like we right after Christmas, I think we went 0-4, so we got swept by Cornell at home, and like Grand Forks was just blowing up. And then kind of a couple weeks after that, we just went on a heater, and we had like so many injuries, and we swept Duluth at Amsoil, and it's like just a totally different world, So that's saw the full experience there.
Yeah, I loved when that happened last year when you guys kind of went on that skid. Because I see all the North Dakota fans and how much they panic. They panic right away after. I mean, even if you're 15-0 and you lose one game, they're like, "We're done, season's over." You read like the whatever Twitter, all the socials, and you see some of the comments. They're like, "We're done, it's over, season's over." Well, that whole time, I take pride in this. That whole time, I'm kind of pulling the A-Raj, like RELAX, relax, we'll be okay. And then you guys win the fucking Penrose, and I'm tweeting out like, "How are you guys feeling in January? Did you see this happening? You fucking idiots!" Like, take it easy. But that's for sure. That's 100% part of the program and why they are so good. Because without that pressure, would you play that well? I don't know. I remember thinking, half the time we're trying to play our hardest because we don't want to get, killed going out to B-dubs the next weekend, It's just like, fuck, if we lose this game, people are going to think we're fucking losers. North Dakota doesn't lose. So I appreciate those fans that way and how much they held us up to a high standard. I think the North Dakota fans hold a huge factor in how well the team does, because we push them to be better and put a little pressure on their backs, and you definitely feel it as a player. And one of the best things I remember from college was we used to go home after, I remember my sophomore year, I think, sophomore year, we got beat and then tied to a pretty shitty team. And one of my buddies, Keaton Thompson, was looking at the Sioux forum, and we're sitting in the living room, and he's looking at the Sioux forum, and we're sitting there watching TV, and he like throws his phone, and we're like, "What the fuck is that?" He's like, "Fucking Sioux forums, Trevor, we're like, why the fuck are you looking at that? And then we're making accounts looking at it like, what are these idiots saying? And they're like, this guy needs to be cut. He's done. You know, they're so hard. Like, do you guys ever look at that shit or you just block it out?
No, not really. Obviously, sometimes it's kind of hard to block out. You do end up seeing some stuff, but yeah, I like those forums are pretty ruthless. Like I remember we had one in the MJ. It was called Network 54, and can't imagine the shit that was on there. Like half the time it was like guys in the league like making burners and just going on there and like just ruining guys. It was ruthless, but yeah, no, sometimes that stuff is kind of hard to block out because you know you do want to read some stuff. You want to go like, oh, like this team had a bad night. Let's go see if they're getting ripped, and then oh, your name pops up. You're like, oh shit, I shouldn't have turned that on. But yeah, no, it's definitely something you try to block out, I think.
Yeah, that's that. I remember.
That kind of took over our locker room a little bit, Gage.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
It
guys
so
were obsessed
funny.
with it. And it was just like
so funny.
Some Joe Schmo up in the stands is like, oh, 11 needs to sit down for the rest of his career. What, you know, like what? It's hilarious because the fans are just so passionate, but they got no idea what's going on in that locker room and on the ice. So it's like you said, I can imagine it's hard to, you know, differentiate the good and the bad. It's just like, you got to take it how it is.
Yeah, I mean, some guys take it a certain way and some guys take it other ways. It really is funny. I mean, you can't listen to what the fans are saying because, you know, I've always said it because I've been scratched. You know, I'll sit up in the fucking press box, scratched, and I'm like, fuck, this guy's playing like shit. That was an easy play to make. You're sitting up in the stands and you can see all the plays like that should be made. And when you're on the ice, like, it ain't like that. Like you got a split second to make the decision and you can't see that guy up on the blue line when four guys are forechecking you like the fans can. Like it's not the same game when you're a spectator and when you're playing, it's not even fucking close.
We were just talking about that the other day after QPAC. We were like, one of the guys in the stands was saying like, he's like, yeah, like I can't believe you watch those plays and you're like, oh, you had so much time, or like this guy was open, and when you're on the ice, you don't see any of that, right? So it's totally night and day.
And it changes each weekend, right? You play against a Denver or UMD, and you literally have 0.2 seconds before you're getting slammed into the boards. Where, you know, a different team like Minnesota that plays a possession game or whatever, they give you a little more space and time. So sometimes you get it and you're like, oh, okay, I got time now. Each game is different, and that's what people don't really understand either.
So, Riese, I wanted to ask you, you know, obviously the Gophers traditionally with North Dakota are the biggest rivalry. During my time since the NCHC, I mean, I only played the Gophers 3 times. We played them in the Frozen Four, and then we played them my senior year at Mariucci. They were nowhere near our biggest rivalry when I was playing. Mine was Duluth. It wasn't even close. Like they were the biggest rivalry. So nowadays, you know, in your time, who would you say is your guys' biggest rivalry? Like you guys just match up against, and you play some teams that, you know, are really good and you respect each other, but then you play another really good team and you guys just fucking hate each other. Do you guys have any of that with any of those schools?
Yeah, I think that definitely, like when you play them and you know they're really good and there's that respect factor. I think that's Duluth for me, spot on. You're like, yeah, like obviously it's an absolute battle. You know, you're going into a dogfight, and you have mutual respect because they're so much like us, you know, the way we play. But then I think a team we go in and play and we're just like, fuck these guys is got to be Denver. Yeah. So that's probably number one for us, and especially last year, like seeing them hoist I remember watching that game and just terrible feeling. And we only got to play them one series last year, and that was at home. We actually ended up sweeping them, and then after that they went on like a 15-1 heater or something. And yeah, that's definitely those definitely be the two for us right now, I think, in this time.
Yeah, I think, you know, Olson, I don't know if you felt the same, but I think
100%.
Ours was a little, during our time, it was a little swapped. Like the Denver guys, we respected each other, very good team, but it was never really chippy. But then Duluth was the opposite. Like, fuck these guys. Like, these guys are fucking coming hard. Like, and you're chirping the whole game. Like, I mean,
and
God,
my best buddy,
my best
buddy growing up played for the Bulldogs, and I was motherfucking that guy every shift. I was in his ear. There was just something about that series, the whole Sandelin Bradbury thing. Like you said, we play such similar styles to them. It was just a clash every single time. I loved the Duluth series. It was my favorite because it was the most physical. That's the kind of game that I played. So I ate that shit up. I loved it.
So Riese, I did want to bring up or just ask about, because I know when Olson and I were in school, there was no transfer portal. We didn't have transfers coming in. It was freshmen coming in, seniors leaving. That's it. And I know the culture we created there. It starts in you're a true Sioux. You went there freshman year and you grew up in it. And there's a culture there that I didn't know when I was a freshman, and it took me till sophomore year to kind of understand how to be a North Dakota hockey player and what the culture's like. And, you're not only playing for the team, but when you're playing a game, you feel the pressure of the fans, like, hey, we got to win this for these fans because they're unbelievable. We're not going to let these guys down. We're doing this for the team. We've been here this whole time. So what's the transfer portal been like? Because you've had, quite a few transfers come in from other schools. Is it a little different? Does it take them a little while to adapt to the, NODAC culture, which is, these fans put a lot of pressure on us from wherever you came from? There's no chance they put as much pressure on you there. Have you noticed anything there, or have those guys kind of seamlessly transitioned into the team?
I think you can look at it two ways. Like, obviously with our staff and the way we recruit, like, you're gonna just get great culture guys, and they're gonna bring in good kids. So I think it's pretty easy for them to fit into the culture. But then on the other side, you kind of look at it, and they're always telling stories about, like, man, I can't believe this or this. Just like, how lucky we have it here. It was like what they came from, how much different it is, and I think they realize how special they have it when they're here, and they're like, I wish I could have played 4 years here, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think obviously the guys we bring in are great culture guys and just great people, which is obviously so important here. So I think they've from what I've seen, I think they've done a really good job of coming in and kind of learning from the returners that we do have, and just kind of ingraining that culture.
Do you think, what's your overall thought process on the transfer portal? Do you think high-end schools benefit more from it? What's your overall view? I'm just kind of curious as a college hockey player, we've talked many times where, I was more of a third, fourth line guy. And then, if somebody were to come in and transfer in, how that would have affected the way that I looked at it, overall. At college hockey, what do you think about the transfer portal?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways to look at it. Like, for a guy that maybe is kind of buried in a lineup and just needs a change of scenery, or we have guys that might be playing on our lower lines that could go to another school and be on their top line. But then again, I think, like you said, for guys getting like brought in and then it pushes other guys back, it's tough for guys who have been here 2-3 years and put in that time. So obviously that's tough, and it does push back freshmen, and it is what it is. I think it's just something that's happened, and I think obviously from a coach's standpoint, recruiting standpoint, it's maybe a little more difficult. But for us, I just try to kind of worry about who's coming in and show them the way, and just kind of everyone here is selfless and understands. So I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah, that's a great answer, honestly, and. I've always, since the transfer portal opened, I've always, and it plays to the North Dakota second half more because, even last year, I don't think you guys started off like as hot as you guys ended. And I kept telling people, I'm like, hey, like, North Dakota's it's a culture you have to learn, you have to get into, and it takes time. And a lot of their players are transfers from different schools, so they don't know what, how North Dakota is, how it works, how it operates. and you come the second half, and these guys are going to fucking get it together. And I don't know. I mean, some of the transfer players, we lost AC, Ashton Calder. I think he's at Penn State now, or where's he at?
Yeah.
Penn State.
So, I mean, that's tough, but I like it. We got Jandrick in there. He's playing well. And how many transfers? DeRitter's fucking weekend in Minnesota was like
huge. Yeah. Yeah. Then we got Farmer, came from UMass. Sidorsky, came from Union. I'm trying to think. Do we have anyone up front? I don't think so. No, we don't. So, all great guys. So.
Yeah, I think the best thing that you said was, it's dependent on what the person wants as a player. Like if they feel like they're getting slammed or kept into a certain position and they want to go try something else out, they have the freedom to do that now. It might not always work out for people. You never know. It's kind of like gambling on yourself. So I just like that you brought that point up as well. Yeah,
no, for sure. I don't know. Yeah. I've always been a fan of I like the transfer portal just because, I'm a North Dakota fan and I know every college hockey player, if they're good, they're probably going to want to come to North Dakota. So I'm like, yeah, fucking let's go. Transfer portal, let's go. But, no, I mean, the goalie situation in North Dakota right now, DeRitter comes in, how do you guys, I know as a player, a goalie comes in, and we had a transfer my freshman year. We had a transfer goalie from Alabama Huntsville. A little different. He sat out a year and had to come back. Clark Saunders, he was unbelievable. One of my favorite guys ever. I mean, DeRitter comes in this year, and he starts a goaltender battle. What are those guys thinking? How do you guys feel about DeRitter going forward? Is he the guy? Is there a battle to be had there?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a battle there. We got three great guys and great goalies there. I think obviously DeRitter played a heck of a weekend here, and at any given time, like we saw it in QPAC, DeRitter got yanked, and we didn't play very well in front of him, and Helston came in and got us the win and in the shootout. So we have trust in both guys, and it's pretty awesome to see. Like, DeRitter, he's played 4 years at a school where their record wasn't good all 4 years. They had tough years, and he still put up really good numbers for a goalie. So, we have a lot of faith in him, and we also have a lot of faith in Helly. So the whole year, I think we're pretty happy and confident to have two guys that, we can throw in at any time.
Is Carl Gehring still running the shooting stuff before practice with the goalies?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Are you a guy that heads out there early?
No, he doesn't. He never gets any players out there. We usually get I don't know if you guys had Paul LaDucer while you guys were here. Was Deuce?
Oh yeah, Deuce.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Deuce goes out there and shoots, and Jax, he's in there like, get me in the drills, like, fuck, I'm gonna score.
Jax was taking my reps during middle of practice. I mean, I'm trying to get reps like as a freshman, like I need reps, I need to get better here, and Jax is like, well, hold off, I'm taking this one. he's right
all the time. And then sometimes we'll get Ulmer when he can come out and practice. He'll shoot on them in the mornings, but yeah, it's usually never players. But yeah, goalies are always out there in the mornings before, and KG's got them working.
I gotta give KG a call. I loved that shit. I was a shooter in that every single time. I love that. He's got to get the players back in on it because that was fun as hell.
That was the best. So
the one thing we will do before practice is Jax he'll stick his head in the locker room and backhand club, get up
there. It is.
Club, baby.
And we're like, oh fuck, boys, let's go throw on some AC/DC and we're out.
catch absolute fucking missiles on the backhand from Jax.
Yeah, he's throwing absolute heat.
I used to always pick Bub's side because he'd give a little easier pass. Jax would just throw 100-mile-an-hour slap shot past your backhand. And you're like, buddy, I couldn't catch this on my forehand.
and he'd miss your stick by 2 feet and go, fucking come on, Ols, fucking grab that one.
That's good.
Yeah,
stuff.
no, I love it when, especially in practice, like when a guy misses a backhand pass, jacks automatically every time. Like backhand club, play like a Sioux. Come on.
So I do have a question about Carl. You guys always do the Thursday pregame shootout. You know,
Yeah.
that's where Carl gained his nickname Twinkle Toes from us, because he'd skate up the ice with his, he's a goalie, so he's used to like lifting his feet off the ice. So he's like skating up the ice, lifting his like feet like a foot in the air, and he looks like he's twinkle toeing down. It's like, is he still skating like that, or has he learned how to skate like a player?
Every time he goes down for a shootout, where everyone starts yelling "twinkle toes," like he's like prancing, and he's got his hands so close, and he's like up here, and he's just like prancing. So funny. And
Twinkle toes, baby.
never a stick handle either. Like
No.
he just pushes the puck. He's pushing the puck and like 5 pounds of snow on there, and he's like waiting to shoot or something. It's so funny.
Have any of the coaches won a shootout yet this year?
No, not this year, but I do believe one won it last year. I honestly think it might have been Bubs. I might be wrong, but I honestly think Bubs won one last year because, same thing. He comes down with his long stick and he's just pushing it, right? And the first one he scored, and it went to the second round, and he faked the shot and pulled it to his backhand. Obviously, the goalie didn't expect it all. He had a wide open net, and the boys just went crazy. It was
That's the best when the coach, because all the coaches have a signature move that they do every shootout. Like throughout the season, Bubs would come down the right side and try to rip like a half clapper blocker every time. And if any of them ever changed it, they just get the goalie standing in the corner. Like they never changed it.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
That's good shit. Well, Reeser, how did I wanted to get back to, because Olson and I grew up in Walsh Hall. So, we're sitting in Walsh Hall just fucking in the trenches, but it was the best year of our lives. How are these guys getting pampered now with their own, apartment and, we're staying with each other. We got our own living room, they're kind of getting pampered now, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I can't talk too much because my freshman year, since I came in as an age out of junior, I got to live in an apartment. So that was kind of nice. I lived in Campus Place behind the new Red Pep. In those apartments, quick walk to Casper's over there.
Oh, yeah.
And those guys, they live in nice dorms. Like I've been in the dorms a couple times this year to go see Blaker and OMAC, and yeah, they got some nice dorms in there. So
Walsh Hall.
I've never been to Walsh. I've only heard about it. And
wake up with strep throat. Wake up with strep throat for 6 months straight. Place is fucking black mold central.
Yeah, I mean, it actually pains me to hear those guys don't have to go to Walsh Hall. Like those nights, I think my freshman class, the entire class slept in my dorm room because we all pitched in and bought an air conditioning unit at the start of the year. And we had the thing blowing out the back, and it was the only cold room in the dorm. So fucking all 7 of us are just sleeping in the same dorm room, bunking up together. And, that sucked, obviously, but it was like something that was like, fuck, this is part of it, like all these other guys went to Walsh. So at the same time, like I am jealous of you guys, but I do feel bad that you don't get to experience that shithole Walsh. So, I mean, what's Walsh Hall looking like right now? I mean, who's staying there? What is it?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I've actually never been in there. I was thinking like I gotta find a way to get in there.
You gotta get in there. You gotta get in there for at least an hour.
Yeah.
Are you guys still? You guys aren't going to this. You guys aren't going to Squires Hall anymore to get food. You're going to where are they going now? What's
Wilkerson?
Wilkerson. Yeah, but like those guys don't eat there ever. It's just because everything's at the rink. I think Omac and Blake, or maybe on a Sunday they'll go grab a greasy burger or something. But
a little Philly cheesesteak.
Oh.
Yeah. But no, I definitely gotta maybe try and make some friends in Walsh or something. Just go for it.
You gotta get over there. Remember going to Squires and getting a Philly cheesesteak, and then getting some Chinese, and then maybe getting some penne rosa, and just being sick after. I'm like, boy, I don't know, my stomach hurts. What'd you eat last night? Philly cheesesteak, penne rosa, and some lo mein. Well, that's probably why your stomach hurts, you fucking idiot. Those are the good old days, though, man. But to move on, Reeser. So obviously you've been in North Dakota the whole time. Since the day you stepped on campus, you've been an impact player. I mean, you've been a guy who the fans have been, we need Gaber to play well. We need all this, whatever. Did you feel pressure as a freshman, and even now, being the guy you are, being the player you are on the team, how much weight do you put on your shoulders to, carry this team to wins and success? Do you try to ignore that? Do you wear it? What does that feel like?
Yeah, I think to answer the first question, like coming in as a freshman, I didn't really have much expectations. Like, I wasn't sure if I obviously I had a successful year in the USHL, but I knew college was a different animal, and coming in, I wasn't sure if I was going to be an everyday and lineup guy and everything. And obviously, I got pretty fortunate to play on a line with some pretty good players and had some success. And yeah, I think now it's just a thing where I know I'm expected to play well by everyone, and I have a high standard for myself as well. And I think I know that it's always up to me to perform for myself and get better to move on to that next level one day. And I think I just kind of wear it, and I try to not get too hard on myself. I'm pretty hard on myself typically, but I think just trying to be mindful, just playing freely and enjoy is pretty important too. So, I try and wear it, but in a manner where it's not, has a negative impact on me, I guess.
For sure.
I want to add on, usually a question we ask is, when did you kind of realize that this was something that you wanted to do full time? Obviously, growing up in Canada and all that, you had dreams of playing in the NHL. You're getting closer to those dreams. Like, when did it kind of click? Like, that's an opportunity, and I want to go full bore into this thing.
I think once I kind of my first year of juniors, maybe even second year juniors, kind of where I really realized like I can get to that next level at college. And I think it was probably my second year in the USHL where I kind of realized like, maybe I can really get to pro and do this. And I think just as time has went on, I've kind of proved to myself that I can get there one day. And obviously still got a lot of work to do, but it's definitely something that's in the back of my mind. And I think as long as I keep going in the right direction, I think I'm confident that hopefully one day I can get there. So focus on winning a natty, hanging that 9th banner this year. And that's a big thing for me. So, and everyone in this locker room.
Yeah. Well, and to add on, you want to make it to the next level. It's gotta make you feel a little more comfortable about your summer you had. You went to Bruins camp, or the development camp there, and I remember seeing you going to the Bruins camp, and I remember reading articles from Bruins beat reporters, on they're writing articles on you, Riese Gaber, and how good you were there and gritty, and that was no surprise to me. I mean, you're a hockey player. I mean, you're not you play hard, you play right. You're a small guy, obviously, but you give it out there. How much confidence does that give you? Going into Bruins development camp, kind of showing out, playing well, and making an impact at an NHL organization that, I'm sure when you were, whatever, 15 or 16, like you said, and you got drafted or whatever, and you're fucking 4'11", and now you come to this moment and you got the goddamn Boston Bruins, reporters talking about you like, this guy fucking showed up for development camp. Like, this guy made an impression. How much confidence does that give you going into this season and even in the future in your career?
Yeah, definitely, definitely a lot. I think obviously, I showed that I can play with those top end guys that were obviously at camp and stuff. And I think the big thing for me is just like, there's a ton of skilled guys out there that can go and score goals and whatever. And there's a ton of small skilled guys, but I think the big thing for me is my work ethic and kind of the motor that I have. Like, I'm not afraid to go in the corners and throw the body. And I think that the grit aspect I have, to me, I think it's probably the Toba in me, but it's kind of just got me to where I am and kind of separated me from other players. And I think, that's kind of my identity that I got to stick with. And as long as I keep doing that, I think it's going to help get me places. So it's definitely helps with my confidence, and just always got to be mindful of that.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, I always think of players going in the NHL or going to pro, and you've got you're a top line guy. I mean, you're an A-list prospect, obviously, first line guy in North Dakota. There's a lot of guys that going to pro where I don't feel as comfortable with that are first line guys in college, because that first line in pros is much harder to crack. Those guys are the guys that have been there for 7 to 15 years, and you're not taking their spot. And it's tough for a guy who can only play a top 2 line role. They can't play a grinder. They can't do all this. Well, your game is so rounded, you should feel comfortable with that for sure. And I'm sure you do. I think when I watch you, I'm like, this guy's going to be a good pro hockey player. He can play, he's a first line guy, but he can also play third line. He's effective on the third line. He's fucking hard nosed, gives it. He can play any line he wants, and that's how you get to crack the NHL, I think. And which is why I liked Pogo so much, because Pogo can be that top 2 line guy, but he can also fucking grind it out. And it's similar to you. And I do respect you for that. And that's why I've been a huge fan of watching you play for North Dakota. You can play on, I mean, Bubs can send you down to the 4th line, and you can fit in right in with those guys. I mean, you can go run guys with Jackson Coons and fucking whoever, it doesn't matter. You can be up on the first line with Jackson Blake and Gavin Hayne and all those guys. And I mean, that's a huge aspect to the game of hockey that many players didn't have, which is what I didn't have either. I mean, I was a defensive guy only. I couldn't play offense. I only had one route to get there. You've got a couple, so you should feel confident in that, and that should give you confidence throughout the year. And no, man, I'm excited to watch you guys the rest of the year. I have so much faith in this UND team after that weekend at Minnesota. Like, to be on that team and to come back in that game after a loss like that on Friday, that people don't realize how big of a part of a season that is, character-wise and team identity-wise. That's a huge fucking part. You guys should have the most confidence in the fucking nation right now.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a huge weekend for us. And, like I said, where we're at right now isn't where we're going to be at in January, February, March, and then April, when it comes time to hopefully get to Tampa. So, damn right.
Great spot, Tampa, baby.
Oh,
it's time. It's time for you guys. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone has any other questions, let me know. But Riese, thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate having you here, giving us the time midweek. We'll obviously be watching in Vegas. God damn it, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun, and glad I got to join you boys for tonight. So, yeah, that's awesome.
For sure, brother. Go get number 9.
Yeah, go get number 9, Riese. Thanks for coming on. Let the boys know.
All right. Thanks, boys.